Let's get you more on this story. France 24's Catherine Norris Trent is standing by for us. Catherine, Binyamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, seems determined to go ahead with this offensive in Rafah.
Good evening, Rochelle. That seems very much the case. Binyamin Netanyahu has been speaking out, giving interviews to a couple of US networks this weekend. I guess his way of circumventing the Biden administration, speaking directly to US public opinion. He's very much not on the same page as the Biden administration at the moment. In fact, he said in one of those interviews that he hadn't spoken to Joe Biden ever since the US president called Israel's actions in Gaza over the top. Although the White House has come out and said that Biden and Netanyahu are expected to have a phone call Sunday morning US time in which they're due to discuss the fate of the 130 so remaining Israeli hostages in Gaza and getting them released. But Netanyahu made a number of significant points in those interviews, saying about the touted Israeli offensive in Gaza that, quote, "We are going to do it." And he said that anyone who didn't want Israel to go in on a ground offensive into Rafah was basically saying that Israel should lose the war and leave Hamas in place. Netanyahu says there are around 4 Hamas battalions in or under the southern border city there of Rafah. But he said he would provide civilians with safe passage. It's not quite clear how that huge logistical feat would be carried out. Other things that Netanyahu has said, he said, expressed his determination here. And he said that there are still enough Israeli hostages alive inside the Gaza Strip to make Israel's military actions there worth it, in his words.
I mean, in the meantime, Catherine, there is a growing international chorus, I should say, of people warning Israel against this planned offensive.
Yeah, we're hearing increasing alarm across the global political scene, really, from different quarters. Of course, the Biden administration had been warning that without taking due care of civilians, that any ground invasion of Rafah would be a disaster. You've now had the UK Foreign Minister David Cameron saying he was deeply concerned about the prospect of an invasion of Rafah. And from other sides too, from a number of Arab countries, we've had warnings from Saudi Arabia, from Oman, warning that the consequences could be serious. And the Associated Press news agency has got a report quoting anonymous Egyptian and Western diplomatic sources saying that Egypt could be ready to pull the plug on the Camp David Accords, the peace treaty which it signed in 1979 with Israel, which had been a kind of a cornerstone, a landmark cornerstone of relative regional stability until now. Egypt extremely concerned about the prospect of increased military activity along that border which it shares with the Gaza Strip. And we've also heard from Hamas on one of its TV stations and officials there saying that an Israeli ground incursion into Rafah would, quote, blow up any prospects for a peace deal which could see, or at least a ceasefire, which would see the release of the hostages inside Gaza.
All right, Catherine.